Drama. Action. Comedy. Palace intrigue. Story Squad presents Clash of the Pencils.
Ooh, welcome one and all to a very cold, chilly Venus Day night here in Milford, Delaware. Slice, Racontus, Joanna Man, all in the top three. Who is going to take home the top prize tonight? Only time will tell after we tally your votes and go through the top three picks of the night from Storybot 3000. So until then, welcome to the Clash of the Pencils nightly live stream. The most watched creative writing esport league live stream in the history of the internet. That is a fact. I am your host, Tom Sherman, and we're here as we are every weeknight to review the top three short stories submitted from around the net, get the latest scores, see who's atop the leaderboard, and of course, go over the top 5 sentences of the night. So a quick reminder for all the folks out there, excuse me, folks, exactly how to play Clash of the Pencils. This is all you got to do. At the end of each night, at the end of our live stream, we will reveal the next day's prompt, and then you grab a piece of paper and some pencils and handwrite a quick one-page story in response. After that, just snap a pic and upload it, and boom, you're in the game. It's just that easy. From there, all of the we field anywhere from 0s to 10s of submissions every day, which then get run through a high-tech data science algorithm known as Storybot 3000, who uses, among other things, bamboo shoots to analyze every story for character, plot, and setting. We then take Storybot's top 3 picks and then let you, the public, pick each night's winner. And besides, of course, fame and glory, the authors are competing for one of these, an IOU NFT. This is an exclusive 1 out of 10,000 NFT. That's actually an IOU for a future NFT from an upcoming drop from Story Squad. So what exactly does that mean? Well, first, the estimated current cash value of the IOU NFT is $100 US, but that's not quite the full value you can get from one of these NFTs. Think of NFTs like keys to the future. Right now, as humans, we interact with businesses and organizations much like ants might their queen, slaving away day in and day out for resources to give to the queen so that she may survive. NFTs turn this one-directional relationship into a community partnership. Owning NFTs of organizations will allow those owners special perks like early access to future products, exclusive content behind paywalls, and access to the inner community. Not only that, but NFTs are transferable, allowing owners to sell at a premium, which in turn appreciate all other NFTs held by community members. So NFTs are part art, part online identity, part admission to a virtual country club, part crypto speculation, part generational wealth, and all real, baby. That's right, you can have all that and more if you just win one of these IOU NFTs. Speaking of having it all, let's welcome in tonight's co-host alongside me tonight to help break down Storybot's top 3 picks. He is a certified master by the Breadloaf School of English. Legend has it he only stops reading for 30 minutes a day, and that's to do this live stream. We have Greg, the reader Peterson. Thanks a lot for taking a break from that book there, reader.
I knew right where it was. It was right near Central Park South and all, but I still couldn't find it. I must have been something-er than I thought. Hey, Tom.
Indeed, something or other than you thought.
Just reading random lines. You never know what you're gonna have to edit on the live stream.
So sometimes you just you're not even gonna read a full book. You just sit down and flip through your library and say.
It's the cut-up method. Just random sentences for 23 hours and 30 minutes a day.
That's not bad. I like to do that with the radio. I like to try to make a coherent sentence with my scanner button. So
I'm
same
trying
sort
to,
of deal.
I'm trying to outcompete Storybot 3000.
No, well,
See what I
that's
can
impossible.
accomplish.
Because take a look at this. The writing prompt for the day: a raindrop falls to earth, hits your main character in the head, and changes their day. I mean, how's that for a sentence?
I'm I'm wondering what's going to happen here. How does this change the day? It's got a lot of atmosphere. It's got verticality. It's got atmospheric conditions. It's got weather. After the solstice one last night, it's interesting we're back into a rain situation and not a freezing sleet, snow, or ice.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Is there a global warming bias for Storybot 3000? I'm not saying there's not.
I mean, and you're not saying there is either. So interesting. Very coy.
Very coy.
Very coy analysis there. Um, yeah, who knows? I mean, and let's see what the leaderboard is. Let's see if any of these people know about Storybot's bias. And leaderboard, Slice and Racontus. Look at this, tied 305 apiece, both at the top slot here. And today is obviously Gregorian calendar Wednesday, but for our purposes, this week is technically a Thursday, because we are not running a contest on Friday. So today is the day where the worm turns, so to speak.
This is when, we're going to see those authors give us everything they've got on the page, is my prediction.
Yeah, it's so Slice and Racontus battling it out. Ehud also in the mix, although not making the top 3 tonight. So yeah, just that's going to be tough. Going to be tough to try to make that up tomorrow. Emperor Buttons obviously making a strong start in the Clash of the Pencils Coliseum last night with that #1 sentence of the night. So and Joanna Man also turning in a story today. So a lot of action on the leaderboard to be updated later tonight. But let's just get right back into it here with the writing prompt, top 3 stories of the day. So we're going to take it away here with Joanna Man's story. A single raindrop landed squarely in the center of Ivan's circular bald spot, as if destiny prescribed this water droplet to use this landing spot as a target. Bullseye! How could quantum computing and chaos theory explain this confluence of events? Moisture in the atmosphere accumulated into a droplet that fell thousands of feet from the heavens over the course of minutes to intercept Ivan's balding dome as he shifted his weight while watching his son's soccer game at 43.7153 degrees latitude north and 72.3079 degrees longitude west? Was he lucky or unlucky? If the droplet had landed on his small tuft of hair instead, would he have noticed? Huh. A raindrop falls precisely on the bald spot of a man watching his son play soccer in Norwich, Vermont. The reader is invited to contemplate the rational scientific explanation as well as the metaphysical anointment of the fickle finger of fate before the narrator resigns, unsure of the implications.
I liked the fact that I wasn't thinking that this is sort of like a butterfly effect in reverse, right? It's like we're drawing the bullseye around what happens and then saying it's some sort of divine intervention. But really, it's just randomness. And we're putting this fantasy of machine omniscience onto a fairly, there was a raindrop and it hit the bullseye. What I want more is the implication of how that changes this soccer dad's day. Yes, there is the fact that this happened, and there's an extended meditation on being able to comprehensively account for all the empirical facts that led up and trying to basically make the world and all the people in the world into some sort of deterministic machine here, that if we can just model enough of the variables, that all the outcomes are sort of predetermined and fated. And there is some sort of existential terror about agency in that. But what happens to the dude at the soccer game? Does the outcome of the game even change? I like the character. I actually like the setting. I like the directness of the how can quantum computers account for these events. I like the aggressive, direct call out to the reader once we kind of get in there. But I did want to know what's the broader significance.
Yeah, the plot definitely need a little more. That was my main note there for the plot, and because it's set up very well, where it's like it hits this bullseye of the bald spot, and if it's like a half inch to the left, it lands in some hair, and he doesn't feel it, and it's like, so what is it? Is does this like set the guy off to remember his baldness? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
something like
butterfly effects have to have like tsunamis in the other hemisphere downstream of them for them
right.
to register as significant, other than just random noise.
Right. A butterfly flapped its wings in South Africa and made a narrator say, huh, in Norwich, Vermont.
Yeah.
That's just not quite the plot that's gripping as a
I
hurricane.
mean, it's kind of but it's got a punk ethos to it.
It does. I mean,
great, right? Like it's like it's all this, but nothing the whole time.
Right. I mean, it is kind of good where it's like it's all this physics, or I don't know, maybe not. Who knows? Yeah. That's so interesting start there from Joanna Man. Great to see him back in the top 3. So let's see if let's see who's next. Slice is up. Let's see what Slice has to say on this prompt.
Never be like your father, Akash's mom yelled, slamming the door to the study with her husband inside, plucking the keys of the family's Zoomsilograph. He was coding his bestseller, the librogram that'd take the planet by the eyelashes, get him out of Amazon, and buy some spousal warmth. Librograms are worthless if no one consumes them, she yelled again, this time to an empty room. Akash had grabbed Beth and yanked her outside when the shouting had started. The sky was clear, but distant rumblings could be heard as yaks and ardives idled about, waiting for admission to the Amazon docking station. Akash loved watching the gargantuan metal sky beasts, defying laws like gravity and logic. They floated midair, reminding all Bezostonians this was a pizza town. Akash promised his mom and sister Beth, whenever his dad was at the plant or secluded in the study, that he'd be practical. He'd work his way to the halfway top and pilot one of those yaks. He'd bring home scalding hot pizza straight from the Parslosphere instead of cold stuff they have to put on the grill now. While Akash watched the belly of an Ardive passing slowly overhead with wonderment, a red-orange drop fell down towards Earth, splatting Akash in his wide right eye on the way. Beth was confused when Akash shrieked and ran circular, screaming about the bleeding sky. He found his way home instinctively after a moment. His mom tried to care for it, and he eventually calmed down. However, the eye became infected and was plucked from his face after 2 weeks. He was off school to recover after his hospital stint. The first morning of recovery, he took Beth on board a yak bound for Pizzalopolis. He decided to take a shortcut to the top and grab his slice himself.
The prequel we didn't know existed but all deserved. Akash escapes with Beth during another domestic dispute between his angry mother and dreaming father about a worthless librogram that he's coding in the spare time. The pair abscond to watch the delivery ships docking and dream about, future stability. When a raindrop of red-orange grease drops into Akash's eye, infecting the eye, sending him to the hospital, but eventually infecting his mind as well. As the first day free from the hospital, Akash and Beth board a ship to Pizzalopolis.
This reminded me of reading like China Mieville or something. The world seems really big and robust. I still can't really understand what's going on. It doesn't mean it's not intricately fashioned. I noticed. All right, so this was the prequel, right? The prequel to before they boarded the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so Akash was never be like your father. And the implication there is that this is a writer who's trying to write in an Amazonian sort of dystopia of Bezostonia.
Mm-hmm.
the line that I wrote down is like he's trying to pluck something out to write a bestseller to get to the halfway top of Amazon, and the librograms are worthless unless no one consumes them. That was an interesting line to me, and the reason it was interesting was because it's like if a drop hits you and you don't notice, does it matter? If an author writes a book and no one reads it or watches a live stream analyzing it, does it actually happen? Is the impact in the world, the objective measurable impact in the world, all that exists that's measurable? Or is it in the mind of the creator at the act of creation? And I think these stories, both the first one and this one, are calling into question, does an omniscient ability to track every single raindrop and this technological fantasy of being able to track everything measurable and feed it into an algorithm, does that somehow account for what it's like to be alive that a story can tell? I don't know. I'm just speculating more on the philosophical musings of this. As a story, I would say the setting was super ambitious. It still lost me, and I needed more contextual. I needed more scaffolding to kind of get where we were. I thought that it was clever for its own sake, and some of the wordplay really landed. I noticed there was the word plucking, and then the I got plucked out at the end. That had a kind of bookend in the beginning. But the characters also gave me a little bit of a Tin Man quality in that the cleverness, yes. The heart, I don't know if this was in search of the heart. I don't know if I was living and dying with these kids' quest, other than sort of marveling at the technical ingenuity and sort of verbal pyrotechnics on display. The plot, I do think the plot was pretty cool in how it was a prequel, how it was fast forwarded. I mean, we have a pretty crazy epic here of now 3 different stories at 3 different time periods of a world that's pretty wild. The fact that this is accomplished in 3 single-page handwritten stories,
right?
Is completely insane.
That is. That
So,
it
I
is.
don't know. What did you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree a bit here with some of your analysis. I thought the setting was fairly strong insofar as not as much maybe like the physical, the way the room looks or the way the town looks or something like that, but the stuff like Zoom solograph that the dad uses to code a librogram, you know what I mean? Like that puts me in that setting of like this like future world of this guy's working like 12 hours a day in the Amazon warehouse, and then he's coming home to like hack together some sort of whatever that entertainment form is.
Future.
Like,
Tom, we're all Bezostonians now.
yeah, right.
Know what it is. This is in real life realism.
Is this story about me? Now that is a good question. It could be. It could be. I don't know if Slice is that good yet, but that's close.
This is a pizza town, Tom.
Yeah, seriously, we are there. The future is now, and you are watching it live on Clash of the Pencils. I enjoyed the mom and dad fighting over the hobby. I thought that was a kind of a, the classic sort of like, what are you doing? This is a worthless pursuit, but it's also probably the thing that's keeping that guy sane. You know what I mean? Like you need some sort of creative outlet or something to do in your spare time if you're working 12 hours a day in Pizza Town for, Bezos Pizza Town. So I don't know. It was, and then the whole sort of thing with Akash being always wanting to be the responsible one and then lets the irresponsibility get the best of him. I thought that was interesting, and that also kind of filled out a bit of yesterday's story from Slice, where it weighed so heavily that he had brought his sister on this stowaway journey. So I thought it did a good job, like you said, for 3 one-page stories.
It's
across
a wild world. You know what would have been cool? Is how you remember how we said like it's almost as if the pizza company was trying to get these kids to incentivize them to stow away on the ships. They could get that like squadron of prison laborers to put those little plastic things. If there would have just been a hint or a gesture to that to get those kids to stow away, That would have really linked it together for me.
That would, yeah, right. That's so funny. That would have been just that little nudge. But a great story nonetheless from Slice. Interesting triangle. It's kind of a almost an inverse of the triangle that Joanna Man's made. Skewing out a little bit to the right instead of the left. Let's see what Rack and Toos can do here in their top story.
Oof! Chauncey exclaimed, looking up. Now, where did that come from?
There was no rain in the forecast and no twinge in his arthritic right knee. One raindrop wouldn't ruin his day, but a deluge would. He hesitated. There was no time to run back to the house for an umbrella. Things weren't going his way lately, so he couldn't risk it. Chauncey got to the bus stop at 8:15, a few minutes earlier than usual, just as the Route 7 bus pulled up. He flagged down the driver and hurriedly hopped aboard. The city's transit system wasn't great. There was no way of knowing if this was an early 8:18 bus or a late 7:49 bus. Either way, it would get him downtown on time for work. He jostled to find a seat, giving the "Is anyone sitting here?" gesture to a woman's bag on an empty seat. The owner reluctantly moved her bag to her lap and stared out the window. Chauncey looked ahead, dreading the workday. Maybe there will be cake, he hoped, his sweet tooth already singing. I can look forward to 4 p.m. cake break. Has to be somebody's birthday. The bus hummed along, stopping at the ding, picking up, dropping off. Soon, it was the seat hogger's turn to depart. She pulled the cord, and Chauncey got up to let her out. His stop was one of the last, so he slid into the window, and a new seatmate joined his row. He glanced right and gave the perfunctory commuter's nod, then went back to looking out the window, lulled by the passing streetscape. The bus screeched to a halt, well short of the terminal. Chauncey craned his neck to see about the commotion. He felt the floor shift forward. Ahead, a chasm in the intersection. The Route 7 bus teetered on the edge. Chauncey closed his eyes. One raindrop made him hurry. One raindrop ruined his day. The tragic tale of a man hit by a raindrop and then torn between the choice of going back to get an umbrella and risking being late for work, instead decides to hurry to get to the bus to get to his dreadful job on time. So that's because of a streak of bad luck, recent bad luck streak he's had. He arrives at the bus stop as it's pulling up and is assured to get to work on time. Reflects about a potential birthday bright spot in the afternoon before the bus is caught in a precarious situation above a sinkhole. Looks like catching the bus was the wrong call, and Chauncey's streak of bad luck continues.
Poor guy. Arthritic knees are tough in a rainstorm. Okay, I like that little detail right off the way. What I wrote down: one raindrop wouldn't ruin his day, but a deluge would. And we get another kind of different model here of one thing affecting the other, affecting the other, affecting the other. Eventually, the bus is teetering on. That is the tsunami on the other side of the world from the butterfly effect. That is a well-executed plot. In order to get that plot done, Rock and Twos did not have the characteristic world building through dialogue, which we've come to know well. We get a kind of a plotting narrator who's sort of, I don't know, morosely going through the day, and we get a lot of the perfunctory commuter's nod, dreading the workday, the 4 p.m. cake day, which I think is possibly a inter-story connection to what was the name of
to that guy's birthday?
Twice, that one.
That 4 p.m. birthday cake. Chauncey would have been there for that. Yeah,
Chauncey. That would have been Chauncey and that guy should hang out. But what was interesting was I thought that line, one raindrop wouldn't ruin his day, but a deluge would. Here, instead of saying one little microscopic thing that's going to matter, it's like, oh, the raindrop is only an indicator of larger forces that would ruin a day. And none of that one little detail wasn't quite a butterfly effect, but ironically, it turned out to be preoccupying on the detail. But here it wasn't about technology objectively, algorithmically categorizing everything. It was about a human. And the reason I like this story, I think the best out of all three today, was about a human making the decisions, not technology making the decisions and coding for the raindrop. And the indecisiveness or the hesitation. It was an extraordinary moment. He couldn't tell if this was the early 818 bus or the late 749 bus. That fuzziness between, and that's that similar kind of boundary between one raindrop wouldn't ruin his day, but a deluge would. That was the lack of precision. That was the messy human side against all the technological wizardry of the other two. And so if we want to put this, it seems like Slice's story is a technological fantasy in Bizostia, or whatever we're calling it, where everything is modeled and tracked and in real time, sort of overly determined. And then we have the first story, Joanna Mann's, which is like calling into question, what was it? How can quantum computers anticipate these events?
Right.
And then here we have Rakentus with all the fallibility of a human brain, with all the uncertainties of the rough fuzziness of just like, I'm just trying to get through the day. If it really rains, it sucks. But if one raindrop's okay, and not being able to and so I thought that was a really interesting spectrum of certainty. And I think the one that I identified most with was the human most one of that.
Yeah, definitely. No, Rakentus is kind of on the money here, as it were. Definitely getting, yeah, I enjoyed that too, where, it's like I didn't hear anybody predict weather, and like my knee's feeling okay, so like one raindrop is all right. Like I'm just gonna plow forward. And I also enjoyed this whole sort of thing of like Chauncey's so worried about rushing to get to this job that he hates. You know what I mean? Like he's rushing to get to it's like, I can't risk it. Getting an umbrella is too high risk to chance being late, and then once you get a chance to rest and reflect on it, you're sitting out there being like, man, this is not going to be fun. I hope there's a birthday cake. Like you're looking forward to the very end of the day. Like it's,
yeah.
I hope Rakentus did not write this on the bus to their job today. And I hope it's not like a biographical sort of thing. That's all I'm trying to say. Cause that would not be fun. But, that was
still human. It is still recognizably human.
So very human. Well, and that's what I said about a lot of, one of these notes says it's very visceral, and it was a visceral experience. I've been on that, and like the setting, that's why it was a good setting too, is just that bus and streetscape.
Well, and it's hovering in between the sinkhole, right? It's like it's not quite in it, but it's not quite safe either. It's on that in between space. You said liminal at one of these descriptions, use that word, and I think this was a really interesting exploration of that uncertainty, contingency, liminal kinds of how those disruptions to the routine like really throw you off. We're just horrible creatures of habit. Even if it's a drudgerous, depressing habit, we still want to be able to be in control of delivering on with certainty what our schedule looks like.
That's a fact. And speaking of delivering with certainty upon what our schedule,
you're about to land this. That's nice.
I hope so. Let's stay on schedule and see who really matters here. And that's not me, and it's not you. It's Storybot 3000 #1, and we saw Storybot's top 3 picks. But beyond that, it's the public at large, our one viewer out there watching this day in and day out, voting on these stories. They want to know.
You're the raindrop who's changing our day, viewer.
That is a fact. You are the single raindrop hitting me on the head and turning it all around for the good. I know there was a lot of negative, aspects today of the raindrop changes things for the worse, but sometimes it can be for the better. All right, I hit the button. Storybot 3000 has successfully updated, and so now it's time for me to hit refresh right here, and we will see who's going to win this day. Could be anybody. Rakentus, strong story, but it is Slice
Bam, bam, bam.
Bow, 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 bow. It is Slice out here with 165 points. Rockin' Toos in second with 140. Joanna Man in third with 100. Emperor Buttons with an 84. And Ehud in fifth with 80. Some strong stories tonight, indeed. So let's see how that's going to affect the week. Slice now up by a slim 25-point margin. Is that right? No. Yes, 25-point margin on Rackin' Toos. Ehud on the outside looking in. It's going to be a two-dog race here tomorrow between Slice and Rackin' Toos to see who takes home that weekly NFT. But the daily NFT always up for grabs. And congratulations to Slice for snagging that, tonight.
Were you trying to say slicing through the competition? Because we're better than that. We're not.
Honestly, if I was able to pull that out, I would have used it. I wanted to use slice in some way, shape, or form, but it wasn't. The verb combo wasn't working for what I was going to say.
Hey, Tom, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for top 5 sentences of the day.
That's right. Top 5 sentences of the day. Number 5, the raindrop sizzled, embedding itself into Bob's forehead. I wonder if that's that newfangled acid rain they keep talking about. He thought. Coming in from Ehud. Number 4, from Joanna Man. Moisture in the atmosphere accumulated into a droplet that fell thousands of feet from the heavens over the course of minutes to intercept Ivan's balding dome as he shifted his weight while watching his son's soccer game at 43.715 degrees latitude north and 72.3079 degrees longitude west.
You know my favorite part of that sentence?
What's that?
The question mark.
Yeah. It really sets it all. Like, if that was a period and not a question mark.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joanna Man would have made the top 3, and I don't know if that would be the number 4 sentence of the day. It just adds that inflection that is needed for the incredulity of quantum physics that is well deserved. Number 3, just making enemies with physicists, like, for no reason.
Yeah.
Number 3, from Slice. He was coding his bestseller, the librogram that would take the planet by the eyelashes, get him out of Amazon, and buy some spousal warmth.
We're all waiting for that librogram, Slice. Keep writing.
One of these days.
These NFTs are the new librogram.
Right. And they will take the planet by the eyelashes. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like a whole new idiom.
It's like an idiom, yeah. Number 2, from Rackin' Toos. One raindrop wouldn't ruin his day, but a deluge would. He hesitated. There was no time to run back for an umbrella. Things weren't going his way lately, so he couldn't risk it.
Risk it, Chauncey. Just for the love of risk it.
Just be late to work. Risk it. Stay safe. Number 1 sentence of the night from Emperor Buttons. Then it started to rain. Luckily, he brought an umbrella and a small cat umbrella.
That is my favorite sentence of the day.
I want to know more about that small cat umbrella and how it works, because I've got a couple cats that could use umbrellas. It's like kitten mittens. I mean, that's a gold mine waiting to happen. So,
are you tired of walking your cat in the rain? Small cat umbrella.
Small cat umbrella. Oh man. Speaking of small cat umbrellas, let's take a look at the writing prompt for tomorrow. What is the origin of the phrase "I'll be a monkey's uncle"?
Wow. Boy, bringing that Christmas season into full focus.
into scope for sure. Storybot 3000, all about the holidays. Somehow. So I don't know. Interesting stuff there. We'll see. Where would you go? Would you make it holiday themed if you were one of the authors?
I think I would. I just think the spirit suffuses too much of my worldview. I would definitely make this. I feel like we just need to offer, like, if bonus points for holiday theming.
You heard it here first, folks. Bonus points for holiday theming. If the one viewer is one of the authors, that's going to be big.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big advantage.
Cool. So we'll look forward to that tomorrow. But until then, that wraps up another round of the Clash of the Pencils nightly live stream. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place, for another epic battle of tales. And until then, we'll see you out on the paper. Did your favorite story of the night win? It didn't? That's weird. Did you vote? You didn't? Huh. I wonder if that could be related. Anyone can vote. You don't need a Clash of the Pencils account. Just head over to clash.storysquad.app. The link's in the description. Any Monday to Friday in the 2 hours before the live stream starts. Read the top 3 picks from Storybot 3000 and make your voice heard on who should win the NFT. Be a good citizen. Help overthrow the powers that be by voting, specifically in the Clash of the Pencils app every night.